is up, everybody? We are back for another special episode of The Real and the Rare. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel, being joined by another fellow content creator, writer, has his own podcast. Guys, make sure you're checking out his social media site. If you look right underneath his name, you got his handle there. Tony Farmer, he's a 49ers fan. You got to go a little easy on him right now. The Niners just took a beating at the draft because
they did.
Y'all reaching again for whatever reason, man. I don't get what John Lynch is doing over there, but y'all still been pretty successful over the last decade, so I can't beat you up too bad. But
yeah,
we got a lot to unpack. I mean, obviously, this is a fluid situation going on with the Mike Vrable, Dianna Russini thing. We're gonna hit this thing from every angle you could talk about. Anyone that has any thoughts, comments, just hop in the chat. You guys want to share your opinions, leave your comments. But with that being said, let's hop into it. And as every episode here on the South Florida Tribune is brought to you by our good friends, Fight Wax. Fight Wax is the premium skincare product for athletes of all active lifestyles. Helps treat cuts, swelling, scrapes, and abrasions. Rejuvenates and restores stress skin. Customers have used for soreness, stiffness, and recovery. It provides an ultra silky, non-greasy feel, deep hydration for everyday skincare, helps fight dry skin. Customers have used for skin disorders such as psoriasis and eczema. And when you head over to the website, please make sure you use that code SFT15FW next time you head over to Fight Wax and show them some love as well, showing us some love. And we're not going to be showing any love today. We're going to be serious on this topic. People have been fired over this topic, and people have been doing whatever they can to bury this topic. And I just want a clean response from everybody. Like I don't care if it's us, the smaller media members, the big writers, whoever has it. It needs to be the same for everybody. And the only thing I don't agree with what's going on so far is that Dianna Russini is taking all the brunt of this. Right? Mike Vrabel's gotten no type of recourse other than, let's say you're doing doing some family time, right? That's like the only thing that's happened. There, without a doubt, in my opinion, there should be some type of investigation. That there isn't any type of like insider information kind of being spun between the two. Because here's the thing about it: like Dianna took the hit on it, and obviously so, but that's more of a moral thing over professional thing, right? The professional part about it is like, she has votes. She votes for, for the AP poll, right? So she can control a narrative one way or another. The AJ Brown situation. She's been talking about him for damn near 10 months. Right? So, you've been hearing reports that, he's got chronic knee injuries. He hasn't had a knee injury since he's been in Philadelphia. He's had soft tissue injuries. He's had hamstring injuries and things of that nature. He's never had knee injuries. So where is that coming from? And we've even found out from all this stuff that's going on from these reports that Mike has actually been in contact with AJ. So why is the league putting up red flag? Like, let's investigate to see if there's anything nefarious going on, because, collusion and tampering on this level, you can't just let it slide. You can't.
Yeah, man, it's the lack of curiosity by the NFL and by the Patriots to some degree really is kind of what interests me in this story. I think it's such a fascinating story. There's so many angles to it. I think there's a lot of heat on Mike Vrabel right now. You've got the comments about Trevion Henderson related to the Bible and the whole educated comment. So you've got a sect of religious people who don't really like what's happening right now. Then you've got like sports bettors who are like, hey, I don't like that this AP voting process has been sort of corrupted and there's some information out there I wasn't aware of. This isn't cool. So you got sports bettors are interested in this, and there's obviously a lot of Patriot haters out there for good reason, because they've done so well for so long and they've had so many scandals. So you got those people are kind of interested in this case. I do think that there's a bit of a political angle to it too. Like there's like a feminist argument of, hey, why is she taking the brunt of this, and he's not? Why did she lose her job and he's not? And I think for me, when I think of that one, I do think we have to remember these are two distinct different professions with different expectations, different organizations. So, in my opinion, it's okay if the results are different because of that. However, that being said, I absolutely agree with you that Mike Vrabel should be investigated by the NFL. Um, Tampering concerns. You brought up AJ Brown, but there's more. There's other ones. There's
Yeah, that's just from my end of it. Like that's just
Morgan
from my end of it.
Moses, Max
There's other
Crosby. I
guys
mean,
beforehand.
there's a lot of concerns, and here's what I don't get. I don't get the lack of curiosity from the NFL. If the NFL investigated Mike Vrabel and found, hey, we did a 4-week investigation and we found that there's been no wrongdoing, we're done. I'm like, I'm cool with that, right? I'm the guy that's out there on social media right now trying to shine light on that, and I would shut up and walk away. The fact that the NFL isn't even willing to look at things is a little insulting. It almost makes me think like
a red flag.
Yeah,
like they're basically being like the ostriches hiding their head in the sand. Like, nope, we're not looking at this.
Yeah,
and you can't do it this way. It's not 1940 where you can just bury this and hope that it dissipates and kind of people forget about it. No,
good point, Steve.
Something that can be forgotten about it at this point in time. And
hey, it's not like 1940. It's not like 1940. It's not even like the year 2000. I mean, the way social media works now, it's so much harder to hide these things and cover these things up, etc. And that's where I think, this is just my theory, I think that's where Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini are getting themselves into a little trouble. I think they're using like PR playbooks from like 20 years ago, before Twitter was like that big of a thing or even existed, right? And so they're like deny. Like, it's okay. Let's disappear for 2 weeks and things will be better and the news cycle will take over. It's like, yeah, that was maybe good advice in 1998, but now when you disappear, the rumor mill, you're creating a vacuum of information. Now the conspiracy theories are going to start. It's going to backfire on you. So it's fascinating how they've misplayed this situation, in my opinion.
Not just misplayed it. Whoever the PR of the damage control PR firm, y'all need to be fired and never go back. Never go back into crisis management PR ever again, because this is a case of massive failure. The fake. I helped save a car accident victim and saved their life. That report was just debunked today. There's another utter failure.
Steve, how familiar? I could talk about that for an hour, just that one thing. How familiar are you with what went down last night? Are you familiar with this at all?
No, go ahead, brother. Lay it on.
Oh, God. All right. So that report was just debunked today. So let me tell you a story. I started looking into this situation, and it didn't seem right to me. For a lot of different reasons. I don't want to be too long-winded, but it didn't seem right to me. So I requested the police report. I was the first person to do this. And when I got the police report, I saw that there was no Dianna Russini in it. There wasn't any witnesses, period, in the police report. So I reached out to the author of the original article who introduced Dianna Russini into it, okay? I need to make this clear. The first version of this car accident that happened was from patch.com, a small little community newspaper. Then 23 hours later, we get page 6 coming out and introducing Dianna Russini into the story where there was no Dianna Russini before, with a witness that says she was lifted up onto a car and helped extract elderly victim and a dog, okay? I didn't believe that story, so I got the police report, okay? I call up the guy who wrote the story, Steve. This is all breaking news. This all happened last night. I call up the guy who wrote the story, and I say, hey, my research isn't matching your research. He says, I won't talk to you on the record about this. He uses to talk to me on the record and sends me to the PR firm for his paper for page 6. So I say, okay. And I got all the receipts for this, by the way, Steve. So I send an email to the person that does PR for him 10 minutes after I got the contact information from him. This was about 3 p.m. Pacific last night, okay? Send an email. It's on my Twitter, by the way, if you guys want to see this email. And I basically say, hey, I'm putting a story out today, tomorrow morning, because this was yesterday. It's going to contradict your report. I think you guys are going to look bad. I want to give you an opportunity to comment. Less than 4 hours later, the story changed, Steve. So it was me putting pressure on them is what changed their story.
Clip it. That's what I love about StreamYard too. You just say clip it. You want this clipped.
See, I use StreamYard for my pod, and I didn't even know you could do that. That's awesome. You just taught me something.
Yeah. When they changed, their the whole when they started doing the reels and all that, they put a thing in there in the AI, like so as you're doing it, it'll clip the whole 30 seconds to a minute prior to what you were talking about. All you just gotta say
awesome.
is clip it. So
that's awesome. I love that. That's a great feature.
Yeah, that's one of the things I mean, I have Opus Clip and all that too, but it's great when you can get it right out. You don't have to go download this or download that. I'll tell you this much. I'm going to address this comment here. Real journalism is near dead. It's near
almost
dead.
Extinct, yeah.
You have people paid to do puff pieces, and even the media that tends to cover whatever sport, athlete, team, whatever. It's all through a lens that like you can't speak bad on them. It's like. Like I'm a Phillies fan. Like if you asked me to do an article a week ago, I'd have been ripping this team to pieces. Then you would be expected to have to say something good about it. I'm like, there's nothing good to say about it. You have to hold them accountable for it.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's the players on the field, the coach, the manager, the upper powers that be in the organization. You have to hold people accountable and not to worry about if they're going to pull your credentials.
Yeah.
If they're not, that stuff should mean absolutely nothing if you're a real journalist, because real journalist speaks the truth no matter how it makes this person look good or this person look bad. Real journalism is as close to being dead as we could be. And anyone who's been paying attention to politics over the last 20 years could have seen that.
Steve, who said that quote? It's something like journalism is printing things that other people don't want you to write. Everything else is public relations.
I don't know.
Think about that.
That's spot on, man.
Think about that, right?
But like, I mean, think about it. All right. Not just what you said, but like the fact that Joe Rogan is like become a piece of the podcast world that you get legit information from.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's not crazy. It's just you have to hold yourself to a level of accountability, and that's why we're having this conversation in the first place. This is why we're having this podcast right now, is because somebody didn't hold themselves accountable to their integrity. Right?
Bingo. There's a lot of that going on, and then I would argue.
I'll tell you, he just went over. Tony just went over it. She was not at the scene.
So well, hold on. We got to break that down because it's complex. I don't think we can say she wasn't there, because I think there's a chance she was, Steve, but just didn't play as active as a role in the story as we were originally told. I don't know if she was there or not. If you want some evidence that all right, let me back up. I got to back up. So all this comes down to, and I just did a big write-up on this on my website. All this comes down to the 20 plus different outlets who first reported that Dianna Russini was lifted up onto a Jeep all came from one witness. That's all it came down to, one witness. And that story, there was a contradicting witness who said that didn't happen in the story a week or two ago. Okay. After that witness said that, everybody else just started parroting it. AOL, Yahoo, Fox News, everybody just started repeating it. That original witness, I'm going to tell you why I think they might not have even been on the scene. If you look at the photos, and people can go out and do this right now, just go pull up page 6, Russini accident. Look at the photos of the Jeep. The Jeep is on its side, okay? The Jeep has a soft top, and that soft top is ripped open. That's clearly how the old man and the dog got out of the Jeep. The story says she was lifted up on top of the Jeep. Why would
obviously Dianna Russini ain't doing that?
Why would anybody who was actually on site say that she was lifted on top of the Jeep? It makes no sense. You wouldn't. Again, you might have to see the photos, people, to know what I'm saying here. When you see the photos, you'd say that would be the most idiotic thing in the world, to think that you'd want to extricate somebody by going on top of the Jeep, working against gravity to pull the door up toward you. It makes zero sense. So I'm starting to wonder if that witness was not a planted witness. This is just my opinion, that they may have been a planted witness, because remember, this started with a simple car accident with no celebrities involved, and 23 hours later, something changed. So perhaps someone saw an opportunity and called up Page Six and said, I got some information for you. It's real juicy. Just my opinion, that may have happened.
Now, the car part of it aside, because obviously that's PR 101, deflect, try to move on, try to get to the next topic. But the other part of what's been going on today, this week, that at least from Dianna's side of things, is she's coming up and she's doing this other podcast now, right? So,
is she? Is that confirmed? I would think that is
apparently
not true.
She's going on the call.
Nah, I'm thinking that's fake news, bro. I don't think that's real, because I would imagine her publicist. I would be shocked if she did any podcast or anything in the next couple months. That's got to be fake.
I would hope so too, just because I don't think any good will come of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, as of right this moment, nothing good that she's going to say is going to come of it. We already know her. We already know the side of her story. We already know who she is at this point in time. Her track record, what other people have said, like, when she was in DC, the whole thing with Sean McVay and I think it was the GM's wife was putting tweets out there that asking her if she was doing blowjobs. Were they laughing at her before or afterwards? Like, I mean, she has a track record of this.
That 2015 incident, which you just brought up, let's color this a little bit. So it was a month after she was hired by ESPN. A month into that job, the GM of the Washington Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call him, the GM of the Washington team, Scott McLaughlin, his wife alleges that there was sexual favors exchanged for information. And very quickly after that, she recanted it. She apologized, and it was a very lengthy apology. Okay? So there's two schools of thought out there. Someone could have just been emotional, running their mouth, and said things that weren't true. That happens. That's absolutely possible.
Yes.
Or it was true, and there was some sort of agreement, pressure applied afterwards, etc. And nobody really knows. But what I find interesting, Steve, and by the way, I'm open to both of those ideas.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
I don't know. But what I find interesting is that the irresponsible media in this country will not even acknowledge that case. I talked to people about the 2015 incident, and they're like, wait, what happened in 2015 with Dianna Russini? It's like, ESPN won't bring this up. Nobody will talk about it. And I'm like, it's kind of relevant, because we're talking about the possibility of a reporter having an inappropriate relationship with a head coach, and there is lots of evidence that information was exchanged. If you want me to get into that, I can. And then about 10 years ago, there was an accusation of something kind of similar. Sexual favors for information. So how can you tell this story of Dianna Russini without even acknowledging that? Now, I get it. You got to be careful about it.
And that's just one case. Like, you got to forget that, the brawl at Chili's, right? With the other reporter over Sean McVay.
Oh, yeah. I saw, by the way, breaking news to that yesterday, Britt McHenry, who was allegedly involved in that brawl, for what it's worth, said on Instagram, it didn't happen. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know her character well enough, but that was on Instagram, kind of out of nowhere yesterday. She said,
but see, now here's the other side of this thing. We seen somebody from USA get fired for this, because she basically said, this is exactly who Dianna is, and et cetera, et cetera. And the day after she makes her post, she's relieved of her duties from USA Today. Chris Sims, which could care less for as an analyst, as a media member, whatever, goes on his thing, and he's on there with
Mike Florio.
Yeah. And, he's trying to talk about kind of a group text chat between, like, coaches' wives and stuff like that. And, he was like basically like giving him signals like, no, don't do it. Don't go down this road. Well, he was just let go of his position. What was it, 2 days ago now?
Yeah.
you see a lot of silencing of people going on here.
It does seem like it. Those two situations are really different, but similar in that people were let go after talking about it. Couple nuances with this. So the first one with Chrissy Freud. By the way, this is being talked about in national news now. I saw Megyn Kelly had a big segment about this in USA Today. USA Today is a company that I sort of used to work for. So people don't know USA Today up until 2025 was owned by Gannett, and Gannett has changed and morphed into like the USA Today company, but Gannett always owned USA Today and newspapers across the country. And I used to write for a couple of those different newspapers, one in Connecticut, one in Indiana. So I don't have a lot of respect for that company. And I'm not surprised that they may have fired her for saying that. I'm very open to that. I think that's probably what happened, and it's disgusting. The Chris Sims thing is interesting. When I first saw that clip, it was very sketchy to me. My radar went up. I was like, because Mike Florio was saying, stay on target, stay on target, stay on target. You guys have all probably seen the clip by now.
I thought I was watching like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. There was no doubt in my mind that there was something nefarious going on there. Since I heard Mike Florio's reaction to that, this is just my opinion, I actually don't think Chris Sims was fired because of that interaction. And I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. But Mike Florio did give a very thoughtful response about why he did that. And I bought it. I buy his explanation for it. He is a lawyer himself, Mike Florio, and he said he was trying to keep his friend out of legal trouble, basically. But what's interesting about that is
on the back end. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. And Mike Florio, let's remember, he is Pro Football Talk. Mike Florio is Pro Football Talk, and Pro Football Talk has been one of the most aggressive mainstream outlets covering this case. So they've written about it the most. They've picked up on some of the stuff that I've tweeted and thrown it out there. They are taking this seriously. They're one of the few. So I'm like, man, if there's any outlet out there that's not going to fire someone it's this outlet, because they've been letting Mike Florio run free with it. So I personally don't think there's anything to the Chris Sims thing, but I could be wrong.
I mean, he is rather, terrible. Let's be honest. Listen, dude, I mean, like everyone, anytime he says anything, I swear social media is undefeated. They just immediately pull the clip up of him in Tampa Bay and John Gruden literally ripping his head off because he just doesn't know basic calls.
That's an iconic clip for sure.
It is. And then then he goes in hard on his quarterback takes, and it's like, dude, like,
who are you?
You were like the poster child of terrible nepotism in modern sports, right?
Indeed, man.
But there's more that we're gonna get into with this. I mean, rumors is that she is gonna try to sue people, and further with the whole podcast thing that the rumor going in that she's doing that, I think would be monumentally bad for her, because you've already basically dehumanized your husband on every other platform that you ever went on beforehand. If at this point in time, like he's got a slam dunk for alimony when the not even if when they're getting divorced, because at this point in time there's no way that they're staying together. Just like I think it's just a matter of time before Mike Vrable and his wife start drawing up paperwork for it. But
yeah, I've actually got a divorce lawyer that I'm going to be talking to on air next week that I'm looking forward to. We're going to kind of get into the nuances of it. But I just want to remind people, we don't know anything about this situation. One or both of these couples could have had like an open marriage type of arrangement. Exactly. Who knows?
I think
we don't know.
My thing about their personal thing, about we know, we can tell without a shadow of a doubt that there's something going on there. Between we were talking about before, and the Common Sense Committee comes in. It's like, listen, but that's as sports journalists, media members, that's none of our business. And that's why this whole time I've been concentrating on the thing that does connect to sports. The fact that she's supposed to be a trusted insider, and this is how she's supposed to go about her job. And and Mike's not the only one. Like we're with all those stuff that's come out, like Sean Payton leaving her messages and doing stuff like that. Like we don't like there could be multiple other ones that there's been situations, but again, we don't know if Dianna and her husband has an open relationship, where you don't know if he's sitting there running around with whatever female that he could possibly.
Who knows? Yeah.
So look, we don't know the dynamics of it, but the fact that neither of their spouses have said anything, I think speaks the volumes to the fact that there isn't an open relationship, or else one or both of them would have been like, listen, we have an arrangement. Yes, we're married. Yes, we love each other, but sometimes we all have needs, and we all have wants and things of that nature. But it's a dicey situation when it comes to that aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, lot of silence, and it's interesting. There hasn't even been, and I'm not being critical here. I don't know what I would do in that situation if I was them, but there hasn't even been like a, hey, we're going through some stuff. Can you respect our privacy from any of the spouses? There's been zero comment whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out.
Saying to what he's saying, the husband had to know about the stuff the higher time, because when the photos came out, that's who everyone assumed had hired a private investigator and how they got the photos.
Yep. And then TMZ came out and kind of splashed cold water on that. But do we trust TMZ? Like, TMZ are the folks who, for some reason, turned down this story to begin with for less than $10,000 for 4 figures. And their reason for doing so is because they didn't want to police the bedroom. Well, now TMZ is suddenly covering this case. And they're telling us, oh, no, it wasn't the private investigator. And we got TMZ putting out videos of people following Mike Vrable with cameras and stuff like that. Wait a second, TMZ. I thought you didn't want to police the bedroom. Now you want to police any other bedroom.
They'll police any other bedroom when it comes to entertainment or whatever. That's why I said, like, I can't. And trust me, when TMZ first came out, we all thought it was a joke, right? But let's be honest, over the years of them doing what they've done, they have done good journalistic reporting.
They've gotten scoops for sure. That's what they do.
So, it's not just a scoop, and it's not just in sports or whatever. They have many different departments there, and regardless if it's politics, entertainment, whatever. I think that they're a brand that can be trusted, but it goes back to the other thing that we were talking about, is that journalism is damn near dead. So who knows? Like we're hearing with all this stuff going off. Robert Kraft was trying to shut down the New York Post from running this story and stuff like that. So there are things where the people who are supposed to give us information can be silenced and will be silenced.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that. Here's a little example for you about the whole journalism is dead thing. So I started talking about this 3 weeks ago. I went from 8,000 followers on Twitter to over 15,000 followers. My following has doubled in 3 weeks because I'm covering this story. I don't think I'm particularly talented. I'm good. I'm good on camera and I'm good at writing, but I'm not even knocking this out of the park. But I'm getting tons of traction on Twitter because nobody else credible is covering it. They're creating an opportunity for me by ESPN not talking about it. Mm-hmm. Now there's a bunch of people who are hungry for this information and they're not getting it from ESPN. So they're going on Twitter to get that information, and I'm breaking stories on it. So
here's one for you.
They're creating this vacuum. What do we got here? Could have been a coworker. The intrigue on the Who. Now, I mean, we could talk about that. I'm okay talking about that, but
this is hypotheticals, by the way.
Say that absolutely. It's hypothetical, and at the end of the day, I don't even know if it matters that much. It doesn't affect the football field stuff. It doesn't affect the tampering allegations and all that. But
no, it's the personal thing that we're trying to get away from.
Yeah, and this goes back to my point earlier, Steve. There's people who are following this story for different reasons. We've got the religious people for the religious angle. We got the gossipy people who love the gossip. There's people who don't care at all about the tampering stuff. They're like, Steve and Tony, stop talking about AJ Brown and tampering.
No, it's so funny that you said stop talking about this, because I seen before we were getting on, we were talking about I came from the combat sports world, and that's how I kind of got into sports media. I'm not gonna say who, but a owner of a combat sports company was just like, I'm so sick of hearing about this. But in my opinion, they're like, all right, well, what if one of your your people that's under your banner was having a relationship with a female sports reporter, and he was feeding her information. So before you guys are making, signing announcements or fight announcements, this reporter was getting the scoops, right? Can't tell me you'd be a little concerned about that, and you would want to know what's going on. And that's exactly what the sports people who are involved in this scandal want to know.
Yeah.
Is if there was some type of, improper relationship in regards of passing information or controlling the information, or like we said, the player tampering, because like I said, AJ Brown ain't the only one.
Yep.
What we heard before the Max Crosby trade, we heard that it was New England before it was Baltimore.
Yeah. How familiar are you with the Morgan Moses tampering angle? You want me to get into that a little bit? So the Morgan Moses tampering angle is fascinating. This is 2025.
When she made her post, she put the logo there.
Yes, absolutely. This is 2025. The day before the tampering window opens, in other words, the day before you're allowed to start talking to people, she puts out a tweet and deletes it right away, by the way. She puts out a tweet about Morgan Moses and free agency with the Patriots logo on the screen, and then pulls it down right away. Now, Eagles fans especially, Jets fans, because that's where Morgan Moses was playing, jump on her and are like, wait a second. This seems like it could be tampering. This isn't okay. And her response, her rationale, which I'll give her a little credit, it's actually somewhat feasible, is she says, you know what? It was my graphics team. And because the NFL logo begins with N and the New England Patriots logo begins with N as well, because of that, the wrong logo was put up on the screen. Now, it's up to you guys out there whether you want to believe that or not. It's up to you whether you buy that or not. I can see that being true. I could also see it not being true. Why didn't the NFL investigate it? And Steve, if the NFL had investigated that in 2025, they may have found the Dianna Russini Mike Vrable relationship before the media did.
Yeah,
For
like
some reason they drag their feet when it comes to investigating.
Some of the tweets that social media has unearthed, it's raising way more questions. And this thing between them hasn't been, just over the last year and a half when he's been there in New England.
Yeah.
There's stuff that, someone had put out something, made a post and tagged Diana, was like, hey, you coming to Tennessee? And she said, she responded something and, had the cowboy boot there and stuff like that. And he said something about reserving a room at the Vrable compound.
Yes. I wrote a whole article on my Twitter about other comments like that, including that one. There was like 6 or 7 that were like definitely making you go, it seemed like there was an open secret. Now, if I can take us back to the Chris Sims comment, because I think I know what Chris Sims was about to say. And I think it relates to what we're talking about now with this whole open secret concept. So when Mike Florio was saying, stay on target, Chris Sims was starting to talk about basically rumors and gossip that the NFL wives had been talking about related to Mike Vrable and Dianna Russini. And I think what that was that Chris Sims was about to say was information that was obtained from Jay Glazer's pool party. Because when Pablo Torres finds out, did an investigation on this, Pablo Torre brought up this idea that Dianna Russini had this competing pool party. And then there were NFL wives who were kind of gossiping about how close they were. And you can see Chris Sims at Jay Glazer's pool party. And there were NFL wives there, not necessarily in that video, but we know that. So that's what I think he was about to talk about. And I don't know that for sure, but I'm just kind of putting pieces together here. That's what I suspect he was about to talk about in that clip, that it was this open secret and other people were very much aware of it.
And people are also saying that Diana's got burner accounts as well.
So yeah, I see some comments, man.
She's going the Colangelo way.
Yeah. Steve, since I've stepped into this role as like in investigating this case, you wouldn't believe how many people have reached out to me. I think some of the tips that I've gotten are very credible. Some of them are not. I've talked to sports journalists around the country who are familiar with Russini, who are familiar with Vrable, but there's also a lot of like just BS. I think it's probably like a 16-year-old behind the keyboard just like trying to trick me and make me go down a rabbit hole. And so I see these comments right here. Someone just commented, it's burner number 3. I have details on Russini December 6, 2020. Like, okay, I need to take that seriously. I don't know. You could be effing with me, or you could have a really good tip. So go ahead and drop in my DMs. You've got my Twitter name up on the screen, Tony's Market Tips, and we'll chat. And I'll try to suss out if that's legitimate or not. But I am inundated with tips. It's nice when they come from people around the league, and I know who they are. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're a reporter for X team.
The first person I seen like really pushing this was Nikki Geis from New York.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He was being berated. There was people like, there was this one guy. He's like, give me a sports take and I'll take you seriously. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Wait, he said that to Nikki?
Media police? Oh, I coached so-and-so athletes like in high school. I'm like, I don't give a frick. I'm like, who are you to sit there and tell this woman that she has to give you a sports take because she's a woman talking about this issue?
Wait, she said that to Nikki?
No, it was some guy. What? There wasn't another girl saying it to Nikki. It was some other guy. He had like a podcast that had like 7,000 subscribers on it.
Okay.
He was a high school football coach. Telling me like, oh, I coached 100 NFL players and this amount of Pro Bowl. I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't give you the right to talk to a reporter because she's a female and telling her that she needs to give you a sports take. Well, you give me a sports take, and he's giving me links to his articles. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not giving you free clicks, bro. Get out of here.
Right.
I'm like, listen. Yeah. I'm like, the crux of this whole conversation is you're sitting here, a man that is up. Whether you're a football coach or whatever, that still doesn't give you the right to sit there and ask this woman to give you a sports take because she's being critical of the Vrable Russini scandal.
Yeah, that's
not your job to say that. I've seen Nikki live covering events, doing New York sports media. I used to work with her technically when she was doing podcasts with Belly Up. Like I knew who she was, so like I knew she's a credible person, but it's like one of those things like, who the frick are you? Like that's why like I hate how some of the people go about when they want to question. Like
it's rude, dude. It's like going up to a comedian and be like, tell me a joke. Like just to kind of put someone on the spot like that. It's super, super inappropriate. Not cool.
Gotta love it.
How did she handle that, by the way? I didn't see that clip.
No, she made posts afterwards, was just like, like she was getting buried. Like and it was mainly guys that was sitting there like giving her a hard time about it. And I was just like who are you? Who are you guys to sit there and question who she is at this point in time?
Right.
Because it's not like, I was just making the joke. It's not 1940. Well, it's not 1940. And then sports journalists is comprised of 97% of men. And there's a sparing woman here and there. No, it's about like 70-30 right now.
Yeah,
30% of reporters, on-air personalities are females, and they're just as knowledgeable as us guys. So the gender thing means absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think that kind of some collateral damage in this case. It's unfortunate because I don't know what the percentage is of all the female reporters out there. There is a percentage of them who are acting inappropriate, and there is a percentage of them who are not. I like to think that the majority of them are acting appropriately, right? Twitter very much agrees. Twitter is like convinced that like every single female journalist is acting inappropriately. I disagree with that. But for the ones, whether it's 10% or 90%, whatever, they do exist that are doing it the right way. For that group of people, this is really unfortunate because now people are going to, as you just talked about with the Nikki example, assume things, question their credibility. Oh, you just got into this industry because how you looked. And let me say, Steve, that already existed before this scandal. People were already skeptical of women in these roles before this, and this is now adding a layer onto it. And I do think that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but these stuff does happen. And long before Dianna Russini was there, I did I had this girl that I pop on from time to time, just so we can have another person to talk to when I do one of my podcasts. And we were talking about this a few weeks ago, and she was like, "I've never said this to anyone publicly or on air or anything." But she's like, when I first started getting in, I was working with this company. I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but like I was getting all these interviews and doing all this stuff, and the company head person there that I was directly working under was like, I'm going to send you to the Super Bowl, but I'm going to need something from you on the back end first.
Oh, wow.
And she immediately shut it down, left the company, started to try to do her own thing. And that's what basically she's been doing the last few years, of trying to build up her own like PR firm, media company, things of that name. So and then we know that it goes both ways. People in a position of power try to take advantage of whatever. Doesn't matter you're male or female. You see the JP Morgan nonsense that's been going on the last few days too. So it's not just women being put in these situations. It's men too. Like
absolutely.
It's just the world we live in these days, unfortunately.
It's so true, man. It's so true. Let me ask you a question. So she was with ESPN for darn near 10 years. Started in 2015. I think it was 2023 that she left. Do you think ESPN knew about this relationship with Mike Vrable that they were clearly benefiting from? Because she was breaking stories from the Titans.
That's why it's being shut down the way it's being shut down by ESPN. Yeah. It's just like, we're blind men now. We don't know what's going on. We don't see anything going on. And they've known it because they were getting good scoops from Dianna because of it. And again, like I said, I don't think Mike's the only one.
Yeah.
That there were situations like this going on with it. I mean, like I said, she's outed herself a lot of this when she's doing some of these shows and she wants to, I don't want to be referred to as the insider. I want to be referred to as the MILF. I'm like, oh my God.
Like, it's always interesting looking back. It's always interesting.
I mean, listen, regardless, I'm like, she's a mom, so it's like, you're getting up there in age. You want to have something nice being said about you along them lines, and if that's the way she felt it. But that doesn't automatically mean that that's going on everywhere. That's just how she maybe wants somebody, like when she's doing those type of podcasts, just so she makes her feel a little bit better. Hell, here in Philadelphia, WIP, they gave her Insider of the Year last year.
Yeah. But so hold on.
A lot of us were the Philly podcast crew. We were joking around and we were like, okay, so which on-air personality was she doing stuff with there to get that? Like, so it's like, I mean, we're kind of running along, playing along with it, but at the same time, it's like this is the situation she put herself in at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. And going back to that MILF comment, which I posted on my social media, people had some serious reactions to that. You and I just agreed that there is already this stereotype, this unfair judgment of females in the workplace, that they aren't professional, that they're more sexual than they are professional, that they're more looked at for their appearance than their work, right? So what are you doing, Dianna, playing into that stereotype and making a comment like that? I feel like even before this scandal came out, she was hurting women in the field by making comments like that. I don't like seeing that, man.
I think the only thing that I really was like, as just a man in general, like the stuff that she was just going on about her husband, I didn't really care for.
Tough optics on that.
She was like, I have an ordinary husband. If I had an extraordinary husband, I'd be posting them up here and doing like, it's just stuff like that. It just rubbed me the wrong way. But
optics.
I'm with you on the other side of this. She's making everything more difficult for everyone, and now you're going to question all the women that are in sports. I'm gonna say it like this: I don't ever remember seeing Pam Oliver, at some vacation point with whatever player's name you want to fill in there, Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Owens, whoever, because she knew the ethical line that she couldn't cross. Did we see who was a big ESPN sports analysis? Robin Roberts.
Sure.
She wasn't sleeping around with Chris Berman to get more time on air, because they knew how to do things the right way, and they know that if they went down that road, that's how everyone was going to think of them.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that I think is, as a dad of a daughter, I wouldn't want, I always tell my daughter all the time, like listen, just don't ever get put in that situation. And if you do, you from the point it goes off, you shut it down. You shut it
Yeah.
down.
Absolutely. We had someone mention Linda Cohn. That's another great female sports
Yeah,
journalist.
there it is, right here. Linda Cohen.
That
Again, these women aren't going to put themselves in that situation because they know how hard some of the the women that came before them had to work to get to this point, to get the respect that they were legitimate reporters, or not. They're not there because they're just the eye candy and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So it's like, it's rough, man.
We have a comment from someone saying, "What year did she make the MILF comment?" I don't know the exact year, but I know that Jason Whitlock was the first to post it. Yeah, it seemed recent, and Jason Whitlock was the first to post it. So if you're trying to find it, that might be the way to type it into a search engine: Jason Whitlock MILF Russini comment or something like that.
I don't know about that. I think you can. If you separate the two in a proper way, you could still be friends with people. I'm not sitting there saying like there shouldn't be any interaction with it. That's not what I'm sitting there saying. You can't be in the friends environment while still being the reporter, while still being the coach. You can separate the two and have a friendship, have a relationship, whatever. If it came out, if like I said, like if it came out, like we don't know what's going on in their personal lives. Like what we don't know if they're already in the middle of a divorce, and we already know that like a lot of things are about to change in their personal lives anyways. But again, that's just how we got the world, the general public got exposed to the situation is how they got exposed to it.
Yeah, I think this is where we need to draw the differentiation between insider and sports writer, or insider and sports journalist, because I do think that the insiders get a little bit more leeway. Now we can debate about whether they should get a little more leeway or not, because the whole insider phenomenon is somewhat new in the world of sports. But I do think that they get a little more leeway to do those sort of things. And I'm assuming that someone had a comment, about the male reporters or male insiders.
Yeah, there was.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure there are a lot of other
right here,
inappropriate relationships, that we are completely unaware of. I'm sure Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport have relationships that we are completely unaware of, that if we knew about would be inappropriate. I'm sure there are favors of all kinds that are exchanged. For instance, if you leak this story for me, I will give you information.
Made the comment like the guys in this situation don't get held to the same standard. But that's also because when you're looking at the profession that we're talking about, right? It's mostly men on men. So the chances of being able to be in a situation like that is few and far between, unless you're gay. And again, I don't have any problem with anyone being gay, regardless if you're a reporter or you're working for a team, whatever. And that if that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all want to do. That's none of our business. But it's how the information is done and in which way it's done. So
yeah, I also think there's a level of sloppiness in this relationship that I haven't seen with any male reporter. I mean, I get it. If you see Ian Rappaport in a bar with Andy Reid sitting on bar stools, and let's assume they're not kissing in this situation, you're probably not going to assume that that's a romantic situation. So I get it. However, this was a New York City bar, a public New York City bar. They are both high-profile individuals. As a former journalist myself, I don't really consider myself a journalist anymore. As a former journalist myself, you can't do that. That was a terrible decision. I think by them both.
The time frame was during COVID, was it not?
It was. It was March 2020. And by the way, for people that don't know out there, you know what Dianna Russini did 4 days after those photos were taken from the bar? Any ideas? Anybody? Any guesses?
announced that she was pregnant.
Dianna Russini, 4 days after those bar photos were taken, writes a story, arguably the biggest story of the year. ESPN writes the story, credits her for the report that the Titans are not going to be seeking the services of Tom Brady, and they're going to be working on an extension with Ryan Tannehill. You got to remember that in 2020, this was the biggest sports story of the year. Everybody wants to know where Tom Brady was going to go. Transitioning from the Patriots, eventually ended up with the Bucs. We all know that. But in between, there was a lot of rumors happening about where Tom Brady was going to end up. And she got the scoop.
Thinks this whole thing is because Dianna wants to be the famous person, wants to be the center of attention. It's sloppy but intentionally.
Well, then you get into the breadcrumbs. Then you get into the reason why she deleted her Twitter. And I don't know if you want to go down that road or not. I'm happy to, but maybe we can focus more on the football stuff. I don't care. But that's where that breadcrumb stuff starts to get really interesting.
She's left enough crumbs for everybody for eternity, man. I mean, the Spotify account that she had that she didn't scrub, and then deleted her Twitter or X account. Days before that. So it's like she's trying to do damage control on it, but it's already done. Like, listen,
yeah, tough situation, man.
My thing is I don't think this should end her sports media career, so to speak. Obviously, it's going to be changed, and she's not gonna be able to do it the same way. Let's just sit there and say she doesn't start her own media company and then starts employing her own people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the more fascinating storylines from this thing to see where this goes. I mean, she could write a book after this. She could get a podcast after this. Maybe someone else will hire her. We are a very forgiving country. When people do eventually apologize genuinely, we do tend to get over things. So we'll see where this goes. But Steve, here's the big wild card in all this for her. What is The Athletic going to find in their investigation? Remember, she resigned, but The Athletic has said, we're still investigating.
They were still going forward with it.
For anybody else, what kind of jobs do people have out there? We got doctors listening, lawyers, gas station clerks, like whatever field you're in. Once you get fired or resigned, your employer's not going to necessarily keep investigating a situation. It's probably over when you leave. With this situation, because of the whole journalistic integrity angle, and they don't want the public thinking they're up to no good, it's in their best interests to make Dianna look bad at this point and blame it on her. So they're coming out with a report. They have already told us it's going to be a lengthy report. To me, that suggests there's going to be some meat on the bone to it.
Yep.
And that report is probably the wild card in dictating Dianna Russini's career from this point forward.
Now, we're obviously thinking that she's still going to be in it, but I had someone say something to me the other day, and I just want to get your thoughts. Like, obviously, she's seen herself in this type of way. We've seen people do crazier things. Hell, we just seen Shannon Elizabeth leave her husband, and she just started an OnlyFans account. Could we expect to see Dianna Russini go down that road at this point in time?
I didn't get the reference. Who was it? The
girl Nadia from American Pie.
Okay. I know who she is. Okay. But I'm not familiar with anything in the news with her recently.
Okay, so her and her husband just had a divorce, and she just opened an OnlyFans account, and apparently
gotcha.
already made her first $1 million within the first week.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that topic. I do see a lot of people online suggesting that, but
I don't think that's the road she goes. But like, yeah, I have seen a lot of people like, oh, this is the next OnlyFans model. I'm like, I don't think she would go down that road.
Yeah,
if Sports Illustrated reached out to her and wanted to do a swimsuit edition, she might do that. But I don't see her going that route. Unless it gets really, really hard up.
I hear you. Someone just commented and said 6 years, all caps, 6 years. And, I think one of the things The Athletic might be looking into in their investigation is, was this an on-again, off-again relationship? Was this like every day for 6 years? We've got bookends, right? We know that in 2020, they were in a dimly lit bar in March of 2020. We know that in 2026, there were interlocking fingers in Sedona at an adults-only resort. We don't know what we can assume what's going on in the middle. We can critique her reporting and be like, that's why she wrote that. But we don't know. None of us know. And this is why I think it's a big mistake by Vrable and Russini to ignore this situation, because while they're not ignoring the situation, but to stay silent about the situation, because while they're not talking, and while ESPN's not talking, and while the New England Patriots, you don't see Robert Kraft talking about this, right? It's creating a vacuum and a void, and it's going to be filled by wacky conspiracy theorists. It's going to be filled by Twitter. It's going to be filled by other people telling your story for you, whether it's your example there with the Nadia, route or whatever. People are going to make up their own
no, and
stuff.
now here's the thing, because he just brought it up. There's also athletes that have OnlyFans accounts that aren't
sure.
adult themed. Like
sure.
I'm not like we were talking about Chris Cyborg is sponsored by OnlyFans, and the only thing she posts on there is just behind the scenes type of stuff and stuff to that nature. So we could see her do something like that, but
who knows? Yeah.
As Ryu Kenwood was sitting there saying, hire her as to be a sports reporter for them. I do think moving forward we are going to see her be independent. I do, and I do think that she'll be back in some capacity. Whether is she the CEO or is she the one doing the grunt work and the reporting? So we'll see what happens with her. Yeah. Like you said, I think that'll probably be the more intriguing thing of what happens the rest of this year. But you're right. The silence from everybody is creating the vacuum, is creating more buzz about it.
Absolutely.
I don't know if a podcast is the right platform for her to do it, but it's long form and she can kind of get out everything.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's one of many storylines for this. People keep saying this story is going to eventually die out, and I don't know how much longer it's got, but everybody said the NFL draft was going to kill this story and that news cycle, and that's certainly not the case. So the athletics investigation, where Dianna Russini goes next, when she does it next, that's all going to be very fascinating.
It is. But I don't know. I know that she's taken a hit from this, but I don't think it's, as you're saying, we are a forgiving country. We do forgive more often than we hold people over the coals for things. So I don't think this is going to end her career. I think it's going to change the trajectory of it, whether it's for good or for bad. It's completely up to her. I think if when she does speak again on it, if she is truthful and contrite and is full of candor, I think people will, over a period of time, will just be like, you know what, it happened and happened. It is what it is. But the fact that how everyone's stance has been on it, and that it's just been nothing but lies, BS, more lies, BS, that's why it hasn't died and hasn't gone away.
I would agree with you, man. I agree with you. I think that first press conference, well, first of all, we had the statements, right, where Mike Vrable said it was laughable and not worthy of,
But here's the thing. She was like, oh, it was a girls' trip. Where's your girlfriends? Not one of your girlfriends going to sit there and say, yeah, we got margaritas and we got drunk and I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, and to follow those public statements up, which it looks like, looking back, that they appear to be lies, in my opinion, to follow those up with the silence and disappearing, that 1-2 punch of these bad public statements and then disappearing for a couple of weeks was just, what a critical error by their PR team. Unbelievable.
That's why when I started off with this one, I was like, whoever the PR firm,
well said,
needs to be fired and never ever be involved in any type of crisis PR type of situation, because
not a good look. I wouldn't want that on my resume if I was in the PR field. I'll put it that way.
It was like, we're the ones that destroyed Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel's careers.
Bad job for sure.
Oh man. But I mean, listen, I don't hold any ill will towards Dianna or even Mike at this point in time. But the fact that ESPN isn't doing anything and the NFL isn't doing anything,
it's weird.
It ends me to believe that not just that she's not the only one, that there's just so many more layers. Like, this is an onion.
Yeah.
We're only through the first 3 layers of the onion.
Well said. Well said. It's suspicious. I wrote an article. It's on my Twitter. Got like almost 3 million views. And the title was 22, something like 22 strange behaviors of the media since the Vrable Rossini scandal broke. And I number them and go through and talk about how the media has acted so weird, not just in ignoring this situation, but in doing weird things. Let me give you another example. After ESPN did ignore this situation for 2 weeks, when they finally did acknowledge it, Steve,
Yeah,
it was with an article.
Yeah, it was buried.
It was with an article written by Ben Strauss. It was buried on their website, and it was released by Strauss himself, who had only about 8,000 followers on Twitter. They didn't retweet it. It got 2.1 million impressions. I've had tweets on this situation that have had 3, 4, 5 million impressions. I don't say that to brag. I say that to say I'm a nobody. And ESPN, if they wanted to, could kick my butt on this issue.
Absolutely.
Why are my tweets doing better than ESPN? It seems like ESPN didn't want to beat me. It seems like ESPN didn't want to magnify this story. Seems like ESPN wanted to check a box and say, oh, we are talking about it. See, we looked into it, but didn't want to actually make that story as big as it could have been. It's suspicious. It's weird, strange behavior from a media company.
It is. It definitely is. And Mr. Monk is back here. Still believes it was all by design for her. She knew how to get out ASAP, but Vrable was struggling. Maybe she was mad at him and blew it off. I don't think that was the case, because it was what I think from the time of the pictures to the time of the release was less than 2 weeks. I don't think it was that part of it was purposeful, nor either of their responses after the fact. And I don't think either one of them had talked to each other at that point in time. And they just were dealing with it on their own, how they were going to deal with it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't think it was her that kind of blew this whole thing. It got blown up because of, like I said, because they both lied at it.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest gasoline addition to this and making this
It's
work.
the same thing. Like, I think about it like this, right? If we go back, right? Remember when Clinton got impeached?
Yep.
So tell me if he doesn't just sit there and say, like, listen, it was a long night. We were lonely. Monica was trying to distress me, and I dishonored my wife. He probably would have never been impeached. But the fact that he sat there and lied is what ultimately destroyed him.
Yeah, and they, with Watergate, it was the cover up with Watergate. Yeah, the way people handle these scandals after they happen is fascinating psychologically. It's fascinating from a PR perspective, and I think this case is going to be talked about in PR textbooks for years to come, because it might be the wake up moment for the PR field to realize we got to pivot, we got to change what we're doing, because it ain't working anymore. We need a new strategy here. Yeah, Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, reposted my tweet with, the 18 different things. This is a precursor to that article that I mentioned earlier. 18 different weird behaviors by the media. How do you think she feels, Steve? She is someone whose life
they've been burying her ever since the relationship started.
So you and I talked earlier in the show about how there's this belief, which I happen to believe, in my opinion, that this was a bit of an open secret. So if that's true, that there was this open secret involving Mike Vrable and Dianna Russini, if I'm Jordan Hudson and my life was ripped wide open by the media, I'm saying, wait, there's a double standard here. Why is it that they get to have this open secret and everybody just kind of respects it and doesn't mess with their privacy, doesn't leak stuff, and you guys are prying into my life? That's an interesting double standard.
Some of the photos they got of them two when their relationship first started was absolutely insane. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah, the acro yoga and everything. And I'm just saying, I can't speak for Jordan Hudson. I've never talked to her in my life, but I loved her retweet, by the way. It made me feel like I was, on the right page. And if I was her, that's how I'd be feeling.
Mr. Monk is going back on what he was saying, is just, both are possible, strategic, but he thinks Dianna was done with being on the DL. I'm gonna say it like this: if that's the case, you get divorced first, because if it stays the status quo right now, she's gonna owe him alimony. He has a slam dunk case.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to get more into that when you talk to your divorce expert. But it's
Yeah.
if from what I've seen, it basically will all boil down to what state it's going to be in, and who's going to be the judge is if he wins and how much in alimony is he going to get.
Yep. Yep. Fascinating. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out. If there are even divorces, we don't know.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
no idea
Like
where this is
again,
gonna go.
they both might just be in an open relationship thing, and they're just waiting for, I guess, us to get bored with it. Which good luck with that.
Yeah, the
But
trajectory of
Saltwater
this thing,
Soul
Steve, the
wanted to say,
trajectory is getting worse.
Saltwater Soul wanted to say, at what point does Goodell be held responsible for picking and choosing what he investigated? If players have off the field personal conduct stuff, do coaches have the same?
It's a really good question, man. Really, really, really good question. I mean, you can't really hold the commissioner accountable. The only people that can, I mean, unless there's something egregious, right? Like
Yeah.
something off the field, drinking and driving or something like that. You can't really hold the commissioner accountable unless the owners were to all gang up on him. The media could theoretically hold the commissioner accountable. And I just don't see that happening because ESPN is 10% owned by the NFL. And this whole phenomenon that we've talked so much about, how the media seems to be protecting the NFL in this case right now, I don't ever see that happening. But that's probably the only way that the commissioner of the NFL, Goodell or not, is ever going to be
I knew it was
held
only a matter of
accountable.
time before we got our first troll comment, and here we go. So apparently, we both need to take a look at ourselves for putting so
Where's
much.
the mirror? Bring me the mirror.
Bro, first off, you're commenting from an account that you can't even take a look at yourself because you can't even put a photo up. First off, let's
Steve's
start
getting
there.
into it with the trolls. I love it.
Like, listen, some of them, as long as they ain't cursing, I bring them on, and like I said,
Yeah.
I open the conversation and listen. If you were actually here for the entire conversation, John, you would know that we've been taking a look at this from every side, every angle.
Indeed.
We're not just burying on Mike or burying on Dianna or burying on the media companies. Everyone should be held accountable for this, since it was an open secret that everyone knew. According to Skip Bayless, and Skip, he may be annoying, he may be a Cowboys fan, but he ain't never lie. And he said he knew that this type of stuff was going on with her, and it's not a thing where we're putting effort into this because the people that should have already put in the effort into it are refusing to, and it's just setting off alarms, red flags, however you want to go about it. We're putting the effort in because the bigger companies, the bigger media outlets are just sitting there acting like nothing's happening, waiting for it to disappear. Which goes to tell you that there's something so much more deeper to this, regardless if it goes all the way up to Commissioner Goodell or not.
Yeah, it seems like there's more in this can of worms for sure.
There is, and I guess at some point in time we'll get to the bottom of it, regardless if it's coming days, coming weeks, coming months, whatever. It's not something we're putting so much effort into it because we're trying to tear somebody down. Me and Tony are from the belief of just telling the story because the story needs to be told.
Yeah, and other people aren't telling it. Other people are not talking about it.
So, which is
like even if you and I tripled the amount that we talked about it, I don't think it would even equal what two other people in this situation, what kind of coverage they would get from the ESPNs and from the CBSs and the Foxes and all that. So even with us talking about it, in my opinion,
predictions
still getting off pretty lightly.
Vrable's job security.
That's a good question.
I say Kraft stands behind him. He's a Patriot way guy, and they take if there ever is an investigation, that they take whatever fines, punishment, loss of draft picks, whatever, and move on with it.
Yeah. I don't see.
We got our first female comment, so let's bring that one up there. Do you think ESPN has been quiet? One, because she worked there at the time. Two, ESPN has Super Bowl 27 investigation is so huge.
It's a great question. The one, because she worked there. Yeah, she worked there for many years, and ESPN benefited. This is like the elephant in the room. ESPN benefited from her access to Mike Vrable. And in Steve Levy's own words, and if you're not familiar with the Steve Levy thing, let me know. I can talk about that. In Steve Levy's own words, she got 2 nearly impossible interviews about 5 or 6 months after those bar photos were taken. So ESPN was benefiting from this. Did they know they were benefiting from it at the time? Or are they looking back going, oh, we actually benefited from that now that we think about it? That is the big question for me. If the answer is ESPN knew the entire time, that would explain why they're treating this situation the way that they are, because they were essentially complicit in it.
Her second alcoholic with history of alcohol. I don't know if Vrabel's an alcoholic, but I don't think it plays into the aspect of this whole thing with the
he had that incident when he was a player involving stealing alcohol when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. I posted something about that today. I think it's probably unfair to assume that he is an alcoholic, but I think when you've put yourself in this position and you're being quiet, people are going to start asking those types of questions.
Yeah, sure. I think the other thing is the part you brought up, but also other teammates said like he had a flask in his locker room and was always like, "Hey, go take a shot, whatever."
Yep.
But like
Ty Law in the interview mentioned something about that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was Ty Law that said something about that. But it's one of those things where, I mean, if he was an alcoholic, he'd be getting arrested as much as Lenny Dykstra. Like, come on.
Yeah. Charlie's asking, have any other coaches had issues with alcohol? Absolutely. I know a GM, Scott McLaughlin, I believe, had issues with alcohol. I don't know Mike McDaniel. I know he's a recovering addict. I don't know how much of the overlap was while he was an NFL coach or not, but he had issues with substances as well. So there is precedent for that.
And another one, ESPN's been corrupt for years. They don't investigate the inside because what they know can expose others. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is I think a lot of the potential reason why some people are quiet on is Dianna might know where some dead bodies are buried too from other people.
Yeah, some hopefully metaphoric dead bodies.
Not literal dead bodies, but
she might have some dirt.
People,
for sure.
People got their own skeletons and their own closets, and Dianna Russini's got the keys to letting them out.
She's an insider. She gets information, and she's really good at it. For whatever you want to say about her, good or bad, she's really good at getting information. So the idea that she might have some information that other people don't want out there, to me, just feels very realistic and logical.
It is. Listen, both of our handles are right under our names, so you can just literally pull it up from there. You know, Tony's handles is right under his name. My handle's right under mine. But make sure you guys go follow Tony. I know I got significantly more followers because my account's like almost 15 years old at this point in time. But go give Tony some love, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, of course, man. Like I said, like I use my platform to help everybody. I'm not here to just like I just want it on my end. I want to reap all the rewards. The media isn't just about getting your clicks, getting your views. It's about sharing the information. It's about helping some of the young guys that are just getting there in like what to do, what not to do. I was at BKFC Knucklemania, right? And I was just watching all these guys that are in there in the media pit down there, taking freaking pictures with all the athletes and cheering for the local hometown guys. I'm like, have you guys never been to an event before?
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. Like, listen, I'm from Philadelphia. I get it. There's guys that I want to cheer for too. But it's like one of those things where like, dude, just even if those are your guy from your hometown, you have to have that neutrality about it. Especially when you're there as a credential member of media. Funniest part I found about it is less than a quarter of the people that were there for media stayed for the post-fight press conference. So it was like, why did you go? To just watch the fight and leave? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Maybe some fake media members in there, perhaps. Oh, that's why he made that comment about the same user. What's happening, brother? Glad you're watching the show. Appreciate you jumping on here. Always enjoy our conversations on X for sure. And also I want to give a shout out to, I really appreciate people who retweet my comment. It's so helpful. Like when they retweet my work, excuse me, it's so helpful to getting information out there. My stuff has gotten, and I'm not bragging, but I want to share this. My stuff has gotten to Jason Whitlock this week. My stuff has gotten to Mike Florio within the last couple weeks, and it's thanks to you guys. So people hear me say we got on Jason Whitlock's show. It's our community that we've built of followers over at Tony's Market Tips. I think it's a great group of people who are critical thinkers, who are intelligent, who are funny. You guys are hilarious, by the way. Love my followers. So appreciate all the work you guys are doing.
It's definitely a we thing is, if you're a content creator, a lot of times most of your traction is going to come from the people who support you, the people that engage with you on a daily basis. So I agree with you. It's we did it. It's not just I did it. And Saltwater, I think it's really simple. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith was talking about Clay and Megan and all that, and it's disappointing to say that Stephen hasn't covered this. No, it's not. It's par for the course. Who pays?
Well, he's talking about it now.
ESPN pays his bills.
He's finally talking about it now. But when he does talk about it, there's been several times where he kind of has a dismissive, like, we got to move on type of attitude about it, which I don't agree with.
I don't agree that he's one of the worst journalists. He is out of the Stephen A. Smith mold, right? But he doesn't have any filter, and he doesn't care who it upsets, who it hurts. He gives his take and how he feels about things. He's lived a different life than me, than Tony, than anyone else. I don't think he's one of the worst journalists. Actually, technically, I don't really consider him a journalist because I don't know when the last time he's written an article.
Yeah, I think
he may have been, and that's why I say in that Stephen A. Smith mold, because Stephen A. Smith started as a journalist, and he's more of an on-air talent, or an on-air content creator. So
sure.
I don't think Whitlock may not be your favorite one, but he's definitely not the worst, man. We still got Nick Wrong running around, sitting there acting like the Kansas City Chiefs' biggest cheerleader. Stop playing with me, dude.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Jason Whitlock, like every take he's had, but what I do appreciate about him is that he's not afraid to touch the topics that other people aren't touching.
And that's why people say he's the worst, because he'll touch on everything, and he doesn't care who it upsets. He gives his take. So it's like, and I also think a lot of times I really don't agree with Jason. But I do respect the body of work that he's put together, over the last 20, 30 years in sports.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of throwing the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to like finding people whose takes you like. It's like you can watch someone for an hour and you agree with 90% of what they say. But if they support this one politician or this one policy or whatever, it's like, screw this guy. He's the worst. He's a this. He feels this way about this. And it's like, why? Who says we have to agree 100% with every person that we give our energy to? Sometimes it's nice to get other opinions. Sometimes it's nice to get other perspectives. You can learn from them, even if you don't agree with them. And I think there's value in that. So I'm not trying to be harsh toward that commenter that made that comment about Whitlock, because maybe they've got great reasons for not liking him. But no, I just don't think we need to.
After we'll get to that one after, because I just wanted to make sure we get his one. Because my first comment meant because there are other infos that expose ESPN she's aware of, and other news they're quiet on that, so she'll stay quiet about what she knows. In his opinion, I don't think that's too far off either.
That could very well be the case. A win-win situation with the
he started his channel and left ESPN or Fox or whoever where he was.
He's grown on me since he's mentioned me twice in the last 2 weeks. That's been helpful for sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Like a lot, like and to your point, is some of those bigger guys, they refuse to acknowledge anyone else's work unless they have a certain profile about them. So that's another thing I think is pretty cool for you, Tony, is having someone like Jason share that, because at some point in time now your other stuff might start getting some traction because somebody has kind of shed a light on you. So yeah,
it's a whole different ecosystem these days in 2026 compared to journalism in the past.
It's tough to take anything Whitlock says seriously. This story after his comments about Joy Taylor, not a. He doesn't need to be a role model. He is a sports media member. He doesn't have to be a role model. And I'm I think Joy Taylor's a bit of a different situation because she was just an on-air personality giving, I guess, her opinion, not to the fact that what Dianna was. And if Joy was doing what people claim she was, so what, man? Again, this is personal stuff. It's not like she was like on air flirting with all the other talent and then doing whatever people were claiming to do after the fact. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I have to plead ignorance, to be honest. I'm not even super familiar with the whole
not want to hear
Taylor
Keith
situation.
Olbermann talk about anything. He is so grandpa over the hill. I can't take him anymore.
I haven't seen any Keith Olbermann in a while.
That's
what is
I'm
he
saying.
doing? Is he's out there still? Has he got a show somewhere?
It was one of the things we were talking about before. His just ridiculous political comments. So
gotcha. Okay. Got you.
I think we have hit this one on the head.
Yeah, man, this was fun, dude. This was a good conversation. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff to go over. A lot of people talking in the chats. We got
good conversation.
Almost 500 people watching us tonight. So I
love it, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun one. We definitely got to have you back on again for some football talk.
Yeah, dude. Anytime, man. You want to talk Niner football, NFC West, or just NFL in general? I'd love to
make some fun of each other. I'm an Eagles fan. You're a Niners fan. I got to ask you though.
Yeah.
As we get ready to wrap this up, how disappointed are you with the whole Brandon Ayuk thing, man?
It's tough.
I'm going through my own personal stuff with AJ Brown, right?
Yeah. I think that you could make an argument that if the 49ers had Brandon Ayuk last season, that it could have made the difference. They really struggled to get separation at the wide receiver position, and that hurt the running game, had kind of a trickle-down effect. And they went to the NFL? They went to the playoffs. They lose to the Seahawks 2 games away from the Super Bowl in the divisional round after beating the Eagles, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
After AJ dropped three crucial catches in that game.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
but anyways,
they only had 3 drops his entire college career. So
yeah.
I'm gonna take that win where I can get it.
Yeah, the Ayuk thing does sting for sure, but I want him off the 49ers now at this point for sure.
I mean, I agree with you. I think you guys would have been in a much better situation having Ayuk there.
Sure.
But it just makes you think, like, what really caused the rift to kind of go the route it's going? Because even the Niners have gone to the fact of trying to recoup some of the money that they gave him on top of everything else.
Yeah. There was a lot of little things. I think it all started after the Super Bowl. I was actually at that Super Bowl, by the way. And there was a moment in that Super Bowl where he was wide open and could have caught the game-winning touchdown, and Brock Purdy just didn't have time to find him. I think that was a very frustrating Super Bowl for Brandon Ayuk. And immediately after the Super Bowl, on social media, he started making comments about passive-aggressive comments, not coming out and saying, I didn't get the ball, but alluding to his usage. Something like, don't forget what you got, or something to that extent. And that's kind of where it started. Then he had the contract negotiations.
Going to the Super Bowl,
yeah.
The following season, midway through the season, we went from a pass heavy attack to more of a run heavy attack that played into the pass, reading books on the sideline. Then his AJ Brown's Super Bowl speech, the first thing he says, they called me a diva. I'm like, well, the shoe fits, mofo, wear it, dude. Like, come on. But like everything that's happened last season, like when he made his little passive aggressive post after the Minnesota game, which, if you didn't know at that time, Minnesota had the best pass defense, and both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith went off. Now Devontae Smith had I think it was like almost 70 more yards than AJ Brown had in that game. They both had over 100 yards. They both caught touchdowns. If I remember correctly, AJ still had like a 50, 60 yard touchdown catch in that game, right?
Yeah,
so yeah. And then he was talking about like being used but not really being used. And then after that game, like the whole shift on how the offensive ran changed, and I think it was to the detriment of the team.
Yeah.
And my thing about this whole thing is you guys want him gone, and there's a definite rift between player, team, owner,
yeah.
all that other stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
We're here. There's a he has a general frustration. He was just at the facility today talking to other players. He's not locked out or anything like that. So, like,
Yeah.
here's this thing: unless New England blows them away, he ain't going there.
Yeah.
Like, Howie Roseman has made this clear. This is his asking price. This is what he wants.
Sure.
And if he doesn't get that, he's not going to New England.
Yeah, I think the chances of him being moved have decreased since the draft. I think that something before the draft or during the draft even might have made sense, but I think
the reason why it's June 1st is because the contract he signed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you trade him after June 1st, it goes from like a $40 million cap hit to like somewhere in the teens.
It's huge.
Where it would financially make. I mean, you're still going to have.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good call.
So,
yeah.
Man, stop. Hurts is terrible. How are you guys going to listen?
Hey, man, you got to understand. We got my audience in here, too. So you got a little more Niner fans in this chat than usual. So you're going to have a couple extra Eagles.
I'm talking to Niner fans. I'm all good. Listen, I when I was going through the dry years of me being a football fan, I didn't have problems watching the 49ers play, and I still don't really have a problem with you guys. We're both passionate fan bases, but to sit there and say Jalen Hurts is terrible, right? Y'all realize he's got better stats than at this point in time in his career than Steve Young, Troy Aikman.
Oh, we got to get out of there though. We can't compare eras. Come on,
because they're completely different eras.
Yeah, for sure.
And Steve Young played in a terrible Tampa Bay team before that. I get that. Sure.
Yeah.
But he's UFL still on course. Listen, there's only a handful of guys that's gone to 2 Super Bowls in the first 5 years of his career.
That's fair.
There's a large Hall of Fame list that goes with that.
Sure.
Sirianni, he has his attributes that make him a great coach. Play calling's not one of them. Hiring an offensive coordinator is not one of them.
Yeah.
But remember when we were circling around this after the year after the 2022 Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
When everyone was sitting there asking if we're gonna get rid of Nick Sirianni, get rid of Nick Sirianni. At the exit kind of media scrums, they were talking to about to be retiring Fletcher Cox, and he looked like he's about to rip one of these reporters' heads off for even mentioning it. I don't think Sirianni's the Sean McVays or he's
not in that tier.
Payton or somebody who's a great X in his O's mind.
I think he's also very dependent on having good offensive and defensive coordinators. I think when Sirianni, like a lot of coaches in the NFL, when he's got good coordinators or good play callers who are doing a lot of that heavy lifting, he can look very good and he can bring you to a Super Bowl. And when you've got an offensive coordinator like you had last year, he can kind of be exposed a little bit at times.
I still think the whole thing last year, and I think Jeff Statlin just did a show with the Kelseys and kind of touched on us. It was just I just think he did win one before Shanny. I still think Shanny's a better coach. I just think that they have a better GM. We have a better GM here that puts us in a situation.
No question. I would love to trade John Lynch for Howie Roseman. I would love that. That'd be a great trade for the Niners.
We have a situation where our general manager is so amazingly good. I don't think you could talk about any GM in any other sport that is as good as what Howie Roseman has been over the last 10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say it like that. Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts find themselves in a situation where they have the best situation you can ever put them in. Do I think Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the NFL or anything like? No, I don't.
No, of course not.
I really don't care. I really don't.
Yeah,
that's not what we're saying. But to sit there and say he's terrible, like, stop it, guys. Like,
yeah.
I get it. And we finally got someone doing it. They're talking about the girl I was talking about, Nikki Gist.
Nice.
We're going to have to continue this some other times.
Good stuff, man. I enjoyed it, brother.
We are way past the time, hour and 20.
It flew by.
So we talked a lot, guys. I appreciate everyone tuning in. It eventually got up to 500 viewers here on on the show tonight, guys. Tony, what I typically do here is I just, when I wrap things up, like I said, this is typically my combat sports interview podcast, but
Yeah.
what I do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anyone you'd like to thank, shoot at your social media sites, any sponsors you have for your podcast, shoot them out. Any party chats, parting words you want to lay upon the people. The time is yours, my brother.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. I started a Twitter account called Bosa Was Held for 49er fans who are still bitter about the Kansas City Chiefs not being called for holding in those 2 Super Bowls. So if you want to troll some Chiefs fans, at Bosa Was Held, would appreciate you guys following that. And then if there's anybody out there who likes sports betting or anybody out there who likes NFL survivor pools, I want to give a shout out to at Last Men Pod. I do a podcast with my co-host, Jason Anik. He's the twin brother of UFC legend John Anik. And he and I cover the largest NFL survivor pool in the world. Last year, it was an $18.7 million prize pool. It's $1,000 to enter it per entry. You can have up to 10 entries. It's a fascinating contest. If you can't afford $1,000, you could pool your money together with friends and each put in 200 or something like that. And it is the ride of a lifetime. So at Last Men Pod, if you're interested in the Circa Survivor NFL content. If you're not, I don't recommend following me there because that's pretty much what we do and cover it. Although tomorrow we are going to have an episode talking about Russini and Vrable at noon Eastern time at Last Men Pod. But during the season, it is strictly focused on this NFL Survivor content. And we cover every single game on Wednesday nights. So at Last Men Pod and at Tony's Market Tips. On my articles tab of at Tony's Market Tips, I've got a breakdown of why I think Mike Vrable might be responsible for tampering. I've got a breakdown of how the media has been behaving in these situations. So if you want to do a deep dive into Dianna Russini's reporting and the implications of this relationship on the NFL, head on over to Tony's Market Tips and click the articles tab, and there's a trove of information in there for you.
Well, they're calling for more of your speculation and breakdowns, and I'm all for it. I think you're a very humble man, Tony. You've done more than excellent work on this. I think hopefully that this will open you up to a newer audiences and things of that nature. I really appreciate your time this evening, my friend. Like I said, as we get closer to the season, you stay in touch, brother. Let's talk a little trash between our fan bases, my friend.
I love it, buddy. Reach out anytime. I appreciate you so much, Steve. Thanks.
All right, Tony, you have a good one, brother.
Take care.
All right, everyone. That was the one, the only Tony Farmer. I think it was I think we got a lot of stuff going down. We went through a lot of stuff. And, Mr. Monk's understudy, I really appreciate the all your comments and everyone in the comments chat today. Guys, if you haven't already, hit that QR code up at the top. Please like, subscribe, share to the South Florida Tribune. We are working on a lot of fun stuff here on the channel. I think we're about 30 subscribers away on the YouTube channel. If I'm hitting 2K, we're about to do another big giveaway. I got some signed merch, some autograph cards, signed books from my co-host Ben Troop. We're gonna put another prize pack together, and we're about to hit our watch hours for monetization on the YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't, hit the QR code. If not, just type in the South Florida Tribune. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share. Again, if anyone didn't catch Tony, please make sure you head over to his X, show him some love, follow, subscribe, like his content, not only on his YouTube channel, but on X as well. As for me, this was a great episode. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Great insight from Tony. We're going to continue to have fun interviews here. And Sunday afternoon, going to be talking to BKFC interim cruiserweight champion, Mr. Esteban the Mohawk Rodriguez, and there might be a special guest crash in our little interview. So, guys, make sure you tune in. Other than that, I'm Steve. This is another episode of The Real and the Rare. I will catch you guys Sunday afternoon. Peace out, my friends.